Coming up on today's episode, our search for the ultimate HD set-top box continues, this time with Moxi. We're fixing HD audio problems. Robert's still ranking on the TiVo Premiere, and we're going to talk Lord of the Rings, cartoons in HD, contemplate the next new big thing, which is apparently video search. And of course, we've got the Blu-ray releases for the week of March 16, 2010. This is HD Nation.
HD Nation.
Today's episode is brought to you by Squarespace, Netflix, and GoDaddy.
Welcome to HD Nation. I'm Robert Heron.
And I'm Patrick Norton. HD Nation is your guide to the best in HD content and the best in home theater gear, no matter what your budget is. High, low, Blu-ray, online, satellite, cable, over the air. If it is in HD, we like it.
Yes.
So we're not going to talk, we usually talk about like, hardware news, but it's kind of, this is from the Google will eventually be laser etched on your forebrain department. The Wall Street Journal reports that Google is testing a new search tool built into a tiny, basically, okay, so like okay, first of all, none of this, Google's not commenting, Dish Network's not commenting, but the Wall Street Journal assures us that Google is testing a search tool built into special Dish Network boxes that are basically in the houses of Google employees. And the idea is you will be able to search the listings on the satellite or whatever, I assume in the future, whatever cable service or whatever you're using, but it also simultaneously searches places like, surprise, YouTube. So you can search for something and it gives you a big fat chunk of results.
Nice. So going beyond just traditional Tribune listings of what's on that night.
The TV guide, as it were.
Video or I guess any video source anywhere on the web, they're indexing and providing that info?
That's what Google likes to do.
Now, it's a rumor, a very early experimental rumor, is that they're using a keyboard and, well, doing the whole Google thing. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how startups like Clicker.com, that's an online video search engine that surveys programming from all over the internet, from episodes of HD Nation, you could say, to searching for Family Guy that actually takes you to legal sources of video.
Right, so it's like the idea that it's an interesting concept, right? There's got to be a business model there. The Clicker.com just raised something like $11 million, and you can search for stuff you're interested in, and they point you to legal sources on the internet. From the can't wait until it's right in the disc tray of my Blu-ray player department, it is less than 30 days, people. 30 days. I know you're looking forward to this one until the theatrical editions of The Lord of the Rings, the motion picture trilobite? The motion picture trilobite.
Threesome.
Yeah, the threesome hits the street on Blu-ray. $100 list, $64 on Amazon.com. And the negative reviews of the unreleased box set are still being posted like every half hour. Somebody's like, it's totally wrong, man. They should only be doing the extended edition, man. Personally, I'm looking forward to reintroducing wee Seamus as my 2-year-old son to King Theoden's speech before the Rohirrim charge the orcs that are attacking Minas Tirith.
I hate hobbits. I continue to hate hobbits, and I in no way will be watching any of these 3 movies ever again. Done and done.
No?
I'm over fuzzy-footed hobbits.
Apparently, Seamus and
a movie that should have been 30 minutes long, maybe an after-school special, but not a 3-disc. 10 hours of my life gone.
Watch this and tell me if you aren't inspired by the King's speech.
Arise! Arise, riders of Theoden! Spears shall be shaken! Shields shall be splintered! A sword day! A red day! And the sun rises!
My 2-year-old loves that. You haven't lived until you had a 2-year-old in your living room screaming death and running around the living room.
Yeah. Yeah.
Apparently, Seamus and I are the only Lord of the Rings fans in the room, and the only Lord of the Rings fans that enjoy both the theatrical and the extended editions. I gotta say, what does the HD Nation think? What do you guys think?
I say screw the theatrical and extended edition Hobbits, especially the extended edition Hobbits.
You don't want more Hobbits? No. You don't want to watch like a 5.5 hour...
Not unless it's a remake that has Gandalf just leveling the whole Shire. Just to save everyone a lot of hassle. Maybe force Frodo and his little buddy on the eagle and just let him sail right to the mountain.
They actually didn't really put that part in the... You know how Robert feels. Personally, I've found a few director's cuts and extended editions that I thought, well...
can we make a drinking game out of it, maybe?
Actually, you could be...
That's too much work. I'll pay for that the next day.
That's like a 3.5 hour drinking game.
I'll be really messed up the next day, and I'll be angry at myself for doing it.
It comes in pints. Yeah.
Anyway.
I'm going to waste yet another Hobbit reference on Mr. Heron here. Look, case in point, I almost wept with joy when I found out that 1993's Tombstone, the epic Kurt Russell, Val Kilmer take on Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday, it actually looks to be the theatrical edition and not the unbelievably bad director's cut that added in a bunch of scenes that didn't need to be there. So let us know. What do you think about multiple editions of Blu-rays where they give you like the theatrical cut, the director's cut, the unrated director's cut, the unrated director's cut that was licked by a sloth? I mean, do you find it annoying? Do you want the extended editions?
I want the director's unrated cut that he would have submitted before it gets to the rating system, and they go, oh, you got to chop 2 seconds out of this scene because it was too gory or too adult themed or whatever if you want to hit a certain rating. That's where I really am looking. That's why I almost don't go to the theater anymore. Or I only go to, when I do rent discs or buy discs, I'm looking for that director's cut and or unrated. The thing the director wanted you to see to begin with. That's really what I'm looking for in my movie selection. Yeah.
I truly believe that this man is actually really just waiting for a restored version of Star Wars where Han shoots first again.
You can't even get the originals anymore. You got to get the upgraded version with the new explosions and stuff, which...
I'm trying to remember if those ever came out on...
They were available for a brief time on DVD, and those are collector's items.
What about Laserdiscs?
Maybe.
That's to say, Laserdisc to Blu-ray to... All right, let's get
that. I do have something to make up for last week, though. A gentleman by the name of Spike wrote in to take me to task for some errors in my TiVo rant last week. Spike says, I'm fine with the less than enthusiastic reception of the TiVo Series 4 news, though I'd say you really should probably wait to get your hands on one. And what? No review of their cool new slider remote with keyboard? But to spend so much time rambling on about the lack of RSS video feed support is just flat wrong. The TiVo Series 3s and Series 2 have had RSS video feed support for about 7 months now. And you can request that any feed be added to the rather extensive list of web videos, and they actually add the stuff. The other issue is that you seem to be saying it was TiVo's fault that ATT's Uverse was not compatible. That's because they're not using cable cards. Theoretically, you could control their cable boxes with the IR emitters from Series 1 or Series 2. But unlike Fios and cable companies, Uverse has gone down a path that simply isn't compatible.
I don't think you've been spanked like that since you were a toddler.
You know what? I deserved it, though. Okay, the slider remote with a keyboard is a slick concept, but there's no firm ETA for it, and there's no price tag either. And I'm thinking it's going to be close to $100 for that nice remote.
Could be even more.
Could be. Although, how many will they sell if it's going to be too expensive? That said, I have a few more things that still irk me about the TiVo Premiere. Number one, no HD menus for current HD TiVos. I'm missing out on that. Even if it's not flash-based, I'd still like an HD menu.
Upgrade and get a new lifetime agreement, lifetime service plan.
I got to buy a new box.
It would be nice if
that's an expensive upgrade.
If they'd let you actually transfer your lifetime service agreement for like 50 or $100.
They don't offer that.
But it'd be nice if they did.
They won't offer that.
Number two.
No large, supersized storage options. 1 terabyte ain't cutting it nowadays unless I do it myself. There's no integrated video, or no integrated support for Switch Digital Video. And that means that if my cable company decides to upgrade to Switch Digital Video technology, I'm going to have to add something like a router-sized box to plug into my USB port. There's also no true two-way support, so this new TiVo is still not going to be able to get my pay-per-view and my on-demand video options. And the new slider remote, like we were just talking about, that's going to be an optional product that is not bundled with any current DVR. Also, no integrated Wi-Fi. And of the Wi-Fi options that are available for TiVo's HD DVRs, they're only TiVo branded products. You can't just use one you might already have.
What about a bridge?
You can use a bridge if you want, but I'm talking about just a wireless adapter, USB-based that plugs right into it. I wish it had integrated.
I would say you want it built in.
I want it built in. I'm sick of dongles. I really am.
And finally, number 7.
Yes, number 7. You can only record 2 HD shows at once.
Just 2?
Just 2.
Just 2?
Just 2 over the air. Or no, you have 2 tuners. They can both do either 2 cable channels or 2 over-the-air channels or a combo of those. But 2 things at once. But to be fair, no branded DVR currently offers a 1.5 terabyte storage option built in, or larger for that matter, although the Moxi 3 HD tuner, 3-tuner HD DVR has a 3-tuner option.
Right, and that's like the only I built it myself cable card, PC-based option that actually will record more than 2 shows at once.
Totally, and that Moxi also doesn't have integrated Wi-Fi or a keyboard remote or anything like that.
He's going to review the Moxi a little bit later in the show. Right now, though, well, we got to talk about Squarespace. It's a web publishing system. It's a web hosting system, and it's designed to be easy and painless and integrated. I cannot code my way out of a paper bag. I could back in the early 90s, but HTML is a little more complicated now. Squarespace is perfect for morons like me because there's no coding required. It's WYSIWYG. It's what you see is what you get. You manipulate the screen, it generates the code. Now, you may be thinking, I'm a sophisticated web developer. Why would I take moron boy's word on the screen? Don't. Take my wife's word. She's a pretty sophisticated developer. She actually found, well, the whole Squarespace model pretty impressive and pretty manageable. It keeps your options contained and makes them easy to implement new features. If you're already on WordPress, Blogger, TypePad, Movable Type, perfect, because Squarespace has an import tool built in that migrates your posts, your comments, your tags, your authors, and your media to make your transition to a new hosting and development system seamless. Now, you want to try it out? It's pretty slick. You can try it for free. Now, when you decide to punch your credit card number in there and actually subscribe to it, do us a favor, use the promo code HDNation. That's going to get you 10% off your order for the lifetime of your order, and it's going to help keep us on the air. Check it out, people, squarespace.com, and if you sign up, use that HDNation registration code.
The top 5 cartoons in HD? What were you thinking?
I gotta say, okay, we're holding off on feature movies for now, and I'm half doing this in hopes that the HDNation at revision3.com inbox will be flooded, filled, swollen with emails detailing HD cartoony goodness that I just haven't found yet, because all the cartoons I see in the house with the 2-year-old when he's not running around the house screaming like his little Rohini rider on the horse attacking the orc thing, you love that, don't you?
No comment.
No comment?
No comment.
You don't want to ride into battle and kill orcs?
Sure.
We were talking about cartoons. I see stuff dedicated to 2-year-olds. None of it seems to be in HD. So I want to hear your favorite cartoons in HD. Right now, though, I go with one of the simples, the classics, something that will actually bring a tear to Mr. Heron's eyes. The Simpsons, preferably over the air or on cable. And do us a favor, skip The Simpsons the complete 20th season unless you don't mind a weak effort compared to the guys that make The Simpsons box sets. They usually do these incredible extra-packed features. The 20th season edition, the big 20th season episode, it's the huge, amazing, it doesn't even have any commentaries.
Aww.
It's like extra free.
But it's HD.
That is true.
It is gorgeous looking.
His favorite cartoon of all time, South Park. Oh my goodness, on Comedy Central, on cable or satellite or on Blu-ray or at www.southparkstudios.com, which actually scales a lot better than I'd have thought. It's nice. Flash-based. It's not perfect at 1080p, but it actually looks astonishingly good. It's not like these are really complicated, detailed, shaded cartoons.
Animation's easy to compress, so you can get a pretty good looking picture out of a little bit of bitrate.
Well, it depends on the animation. South Park is pretty easy to compress.
That particular type of animation.
Roger Chang, our producer, raised his hand, waved it furiously, and said Cartoon Network, Clone Wars. Better yet, the complete season 1 on Blu-ray, especially if you don't have access to apparently only the East Coast satellite, like only the East Coast Cartoon Network feed is HD and the West Coast is SD only.
No.
So that's
not
what
in
I've
my
heard.
home.
Well, yeah, but you got like the fabulous Comcast action.
Yeah. Oh, you were saying satellite. Oh.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, if I've been told if you have trouble getting an HD version of the Cartoon Network, try looking for the East Coast feed and not just the West Coast feed.
See, you lucky satellite people. I do miss not getting. I want all the feeds.
Sometimes I don't want all the feeds because there's nothing like trying to search for something and getting 9 standard def versions of it instead of the 1 HD version you want. Pixar Short Films Collection Volume 1. Pixar is a phenomenal studio. They're all about storytelling, and it's really fun to watch their rendering engines evolve with each individual short as they move forward. And one last one before we go. Inglourious Bastards. Okay, this is live action, not a cartoon, but we're still bumming it got stiffed at the Oscars. And quite frankly, the facial expressions in this movie, cartoon-like when they are absolutely terrifying.
Didn't the gentleman get the best assistant actor?
Okay. He was awesome.
He was awesome. He made that movie.
But Tarantino just got ignored.
Yeah.
And I think it's time somebody said, Quentin, nice work. It's okay, Quentin. It's okay.
I know. I don't know. Anyway, time for the new Blu-ray releases for the week of March 16th, 2010. First up, it's one of my favorite cartoons, South Park. The complete 13th season is released this week as well. Features such gems as the Fish Sticks episode, featuring their version of Kanye West, and the Margaritaville episode, which just won an Emmy for Outstanding Animated Program for programming less than 1 hour. There's a mouthful. So if you hadn't been following the season as it aired, now is your chance to catch up with the whole season on beautiful Blu-ray. On the more kid-friendly front, it's Disney's return to the classic 2D style of animation, The Princess and the Frog. It's available on both a single-disc version and a 3-disc version. The other 2 discs are the DVD and the digital copy. The movies are encoded with a 1080p MPEG-4 codec, and it includes a bunch of neat extras like a deleted scenes, a music video, a look at the live-action reference footage used by the animators, for certain scenes at least, and the ability to watch the film with a work in progress. I believe that might be picture-in-picture. And several behind-the-scenes featurettes with interviews with the crew discussing what it's like to work on Disney's first hand-drawn animation in nearly 5 years. Just in time for the 3rd season premiere of Breaking Bad, we have the first 2 seasons, each released this week on Blu-ray. Starring Bryan Cranston, who you might know as the father from Malcolm in the Middle, as a high school chemistry teacher who starts selling meth to pay for his cancer treatment. Where have I been? This sounds like a pretty cool show. This AMC series is one of our producer Seraphina's favorite shows, and not just because it's set in her hometown of Albuquerque, New Mexico. With the release of Clash of the Titans in a couple of weeks, the History Channel is releasing the first season of its documentary series, Clash of the Gods. Each episode is an hour long, and it tells the story of the ancient gods such as Zeus, Hades, Thor, and more.
Zeus did what to who? That's disgusting.
Other releases include Armored, Astro Boy, Brief Interviews with Hideous Men, Broken Embraces, Did You Hear About the Morgans, The Fourth Kind, Ninja Assassin, Paris, Suicide Girls, Guide to Living,
Tattoos,
Unrivaled, The White Stripes, Under Great White Northern Lights, and Wonderful World. Let's take a moment to thank one of our sponsors, Netflix. I've extended my sci-fi movie binge another week, and my Netflix queue indicates that the 2002 thriller Equilibrium is waiting for me in my mailbox. Some time ago, I loaded up my Netflix queue with every movie that I've been meaning to watch but had never gotten around to. Several dozen movies later, Netflix saves me time, money, and hassle by delivering my cinematic desires directly to my home. As a Netflix Unlimited member, you get the discs by mail in about 1 business day. Plus, for $9 a month, you can instantly watch unlimited TV episodes and movies streamed directly to your PC, Mac, or right to your television via a Netflix-ready device like the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and soon the Nintendo Wii console. I am partial, though, to the devices that can deliver Netflix's HD streams. And with Netflix, you can watch as many movies as you want, shipping is free, and there are never any late fees and no due dates. Keep the movies for as long as you like. You can get unlimited movies 2 ways for only $9 a month, and for $2 more, you can select Blu-ray discs when available. Plus, as a new member and HD Nation viewer, you can get a 2-week free trial membership. Go to www.netflix.com/HDNation and sign up now. Be sure to use this URL so they know we sent you.
In our never-ending quest to review every HD set-top box on the market we can find, or that you can find, we came across the latest iteration of Moxi. I just like saying Moxi. The Moxi 3-tuner HD DVR, and it's, well, what do we call the little, like, satellite unit? There's like the mothership and the satellite.
The Moxi Mate.
The Moxi Mate.
M-A-T-E.
You spent a week with this thing.
Yeah.
The Moxi's been kind of like floating around the periphery for years.
Totally.
This is
10 years now. I've been aware of the company for
Right.
quite a long time. So they're not a new startup.
No, but this is a relatively new box coming from Moxi. You spent a week with it. What did you think of the 3-tuner HD DVR?
It is overall solid, I will say that. It is a good HD DVR. I think one of the biggest items about it is the 3-tuner capability. With a single multi-stream cable card, you can basically record up to 3 HD channels at once, and if you want, you could be watching a 4th show, I guess, that would be recorded while something that's already recorded on the DVR itself. $599 list price. You can get that right now. No monthly fees. Simple setup is, I think, one of the big keys. You literally plug in the Ethernet cable, connect it to your TV. This thing immediately went online, grabbed an update. Well, first you have to create an account on the website, on the Moxi website. And once that's done, one of the nice things about doing that, you put your information about where you live, what your cable provider is, etc. on the website. It transferred that information directly to the box. So I didn't have to re-enter any of that info, which was really great. Again, upgradable storage, although it's external. I haven't seen any DIY options for altering the internal drive.
Or DIY.
Or DIY, excuse me. Excuse me, what am I thinking
say
of? But anyway, 500 gigs of storage internally, which I don't know what that works out to in hours of HD, but it's better than
Fewer
most.
than you want.
Yeah, you always want more. For a big family, it might be a problem. It offers 1080p output, 1080p 24 and 1080p 30 to be specific, but it doesn't have a native mode. So if you're using some kind of external processor device and you want that to handle it, I don't know. I kind of like the native modes. Now the Moxi Mate, on the other hand, $299, I believe, the $299 price, and that extends the functionality of the main DVR into, say, a bedroom or a secondary bed or another room.
It's basically like one of those media center extenders that were sort of out on the market and faded away. Only this one only works with the Moxi mothership, right?
Totally. And on the same network I had these connected to, and it was able to provide any of the recorded content that I had on the DVR. I could stream right to this box, as well as if one of the 3 tuners on the main DVR is not in use, you can then stream a channel in live to that as well. Now, it's not as fast responding as you get directly using the DVR itself, because it is encoding it, sending it over your Ethernet, and bringing it right to that little box for decode. But overall, it's a great extender product.
I thought it was interesting that it had like USB 2.0 inputs and a SATA input, external SATA input.
They claim for any of these products you can connect up to 6.5 terabytes of external storage. So between the USB ports, the SATA ports, you should be okay. Now, when I had like all 3 tuners buzzing away on the DVR, recording 3 separate shows at once, I went and looked at what the performance was with the Moxi Mate. It did get a little sluggish. Now, especially when I was trying to access functionality like going through long menus or anything I had to scroll through, it would bog it down a little bit if I'm trying to access data directly off the DVR.
You think it's a CPU issue? You think it's like an IO issue or
it could have been. Well,
it
was all on a gigabit network, so I don't think the network was an issue. I think it was more about
getting it off the. I guess I'm wondering if like, do you think they need a more powerful processor or a faster hard drive internally?
I'd have to spend some more time to really narrow it down to where the issue was. I will say, though, that if you do have a free tuner available on the DVR, it was pretty nice to be able to stream live TV channels as well. However, I'm a big fan of grid view. When you look at a channel listing on any on either your DVR or however, you normally get either get a list view that's a long list you can scroll through. I prefer a grid view that shows you like a couple hours out and you can see what's coming up.
Maybe a half dozen channels that are near each other.
Totally. The primary DVR gives you the option to switch back and forth between both views.
Okay.
The Moxi Mate doesn't. It only gives you the long, stringy list view, which, you know, once you're in the it isn't a big deal once you figure out where your favorite channels are, or if you just want to grab shows that are on this DVR.
Could you create like a list of your favorite channels, like, you know, if the kids have one of these and there's one in the, you know what I mean? Could you set up like favorite channels to maybe narrow that list down?
Oh, totally. And you also have the full parental control options as well with both products. The other thing that's really nice about the DVR itself,
Cinemax for you, little Bobby.
Exactly. But if you're a sports fan or categories fans, there's actually built right into the menu is a nice listing that when you do have it connected to your cable system, you go to the sports icon, boom, it shows you everything that's currently on and coming up for anything related to sports.
Cool.
And they do have a separate one for movies as well. So whether it's recorded on your DVR or it's on live TV, it made it really easy to get that kind of content right to your eyeballs.
Wow. So we should touch on one other device. It's a follow-up to one you've reviewed in the past.
Oh, yes.
Popcorn Hour's A200, which is basically, would you qualify it as sort of the shrunken version of the C200?
Cost effective is what I think they were going for. Let's get the cost down as low as possible. That's really what they were looking for. The difference between the A model and the C model.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about here? It's smaller.
Smaller. It's a
2.5 inch or 3.5 inch hard drive inside now.
You can put either one. I believe there's space for either, but you got to crack the case open in order to do that. Unlike the C model, which allowed you basically had that nice external, not external, but the removable drive bay that you can put a SATA drive in and out. It has, the A200 has fewer SATA and USB ports than kind of, you know, paring the size of this thing down a little bit. There's no front display. They also did away with the Blu-ray drive support. So if you're looking for Blu-ray playback using an external drive,
you need the C200, not the A200.
Exactly, exactly. And price-wise, though, $180 or $200 if you want the Wi-Fi adapter. Compare that to the C200, that was $300 or $311 with the Wi-Fi adapter.
That's a pretty healthy price.
But otherwise, functionality identical. Same internal processors, chipsets, and everything. So whatever functionality you had, aside from what we talked about earlier, with the C200, you can get that with the A200 in just a smaller form factor.
And we are keeping our eyes open for Ciabas's next product, which is a more sort of less hardcore enthusiast, more general purpose, sort of general consumer product, which is the Pop Box, and we will get our hands on that as soon as they will spare one for us. Please, sir. spare us a pop box. Take a moment to thank one of our sponsors, GoDaddy.com. They've been with us pretty much from the beginning, and they want to remind you that your website visitors, well, they're paranoid. They don't want to pay money and get ripped off. They don't want to go to a website and find out it's not what it's supposed to be. And they really don't want their personal information and their credit card numbers to fall into nefarious hands, or nefarious people with nefarious hands. In any case, they want to tell you can turn those visitors' concerns, their paranoia, into a competitive advantage. Just throw a GoDaddy.com secure certificate on your website. If you want to get in at a discount, do us a favor, use the code HDN8. You'll get 10% off your order, and that counts for anything. I've bought a lot of domains off of GoDaddy.com, and you know what? The discounts, they're nice. Check out revision3.com/GoDaddy for all the HD Nation GoDaddy deals and codes. They work across all the GoDaddy's products, and do us a favor. Get your piece of the internet at GoDaddy.com and use one of those HDN codes when you do. After last week's Orb Speaker review, we got a dog pile of HD audio questions. Bob wrote in, "Gents." Thanks, Bob. I like to be a gentleman. "I suffer from audio lag on my HD setup. When I use my amp, no matter which connection method I use, direct or via the TV, I get the audio lag. The TV and the amp have options to deal with this by adding delays, but I need a good reference disc to be able to tune out the delay. Can you recommend anything?" I was thinking, shouldn't there be no delay? I mean, he's got a PS3 Slim, a Samsung, relatively recent Samsung television, and a good Yamaha DSP receiver. What do you think is causing the lag in there?
Well, if he's going through the amp, it's probably the amp causing that. If he's getting the same effect,
he says it's like going both ways.
If he says it's going both ways, if he connects it directly to the TV, so the game console directly to the TV, and he's getting the same lag, then I'd be more inclined to believe it's the TV causing it. And in that case, try one of the TV's game modes in particular. See if it's got, Samsung TVs have an entertainment button, and it goes through different specialized picture modes that are outside of what you would find in the regular menus. One little confusing. I don't know if the B650 does that or not, but most of the Samsung TVs I've seen do that. If you select game mode, it eliminates any kind of delay in the processing. So it should provide the fastest path between audio and visual goodness, just getting it right to your ears and eyes without any kind of, introducing any kind of delay.
I thought HDMI meant we'd never have to deal with audio sync issues again.
No, there are functions in there to deal with it, but are they implemented on any of the hardware we're currently using?
It's supposed to just work.
It's there. It's in the spec. Does anyone implement it? That's the whole other. No.
Meanwhile, Duncan writes in, "Hi, Patrick and Robert. I recently jumped into the HD bandwagon to watch HD football that will be broadcast for the World Cup." Oh, he means soccer in a few months' time. He's got a PS3, a Samsung 6 Series 42-inch LCD, a Yamaha receiver, and a Boston 5.1 speaker kit. A little bright for my taste, but not a bad unit. He says he's using an HDMI cable from the PS3 to the Yamaha receiver, and then an HDMI cable from the receiver to the TV. This is pretty traditional, using the receiver to switch your HDMI inputs. His question, though, is on the sound part of the setup. On the PS3, he says there's a number of sound options like linear PCM and bitstream. What audio setting on the PS3 is going to give him the best surround sound experience, particularly when watching Blu-rays?
Short answer is bitstream, always, because the receiver you have actually supports the decoding of pretty much every audio format that you'll find on Blu-ray movies today, including the lossless formats that everyone makes a big deal about, Dolby True HD and DTS HD Master audio.
What's the difference between Dolby True and the DTS and bitstream? Are they the same thing? Are they?
I mean, they're different things, but it's technically how much data per second are you devoting to the audio stream. You get more out of the latest lossless formats, and also lossless implies that you're also getting the exact same audio quality that you would have got either in the theater or in the mastering suite that they used when they produced the audio for the film itself. It should be as good as it gets, and since you have a capable receiver and you're using all HDMI connections, which is a prerequisite, if you were using something like optical or coaxial digital, you'd have to stick with a downgraded format. It's still going to sound great, but it wouldn't be the same. So
what should he be using to tune his audio? And this kind of applies to the previous question. What can I use to help set up my audio system? And people are like, I turned on pink noise and I listened and the speakers sounded about right. This is bad forum information. I mean, it's a start, but what would you use? A THX optimizer disc, one of the Spears and Munsell discs? Or?
Well, in the case of doing audio setup, generally, it's like if you know nothing, every AV receiver made today, the new ones, like the one you're using, it should include a little microphone, a little calibration microphone that'll deal with everything from determining speaker distance. That includes timing issues, as well as even, I want to say, even frequency response and speaker size settings as well. It'll do quite a bit to get you, wherever that mic's placed will become the great sweet spot for the room. And some of the newer AV receivers, some of the more expensive ones, incorporate even more advanced audio modeling capabilities for doing a whole room acoustics, which are great. But use that little mic if it came with one. Get a little cheap tripod, put it on there right where you sit, put it where your head would be, and then have it do the setup for your room.
Magic.
And stick to using HDMI for your audio needs, and make sure that when you're playing anything on that PS3, the PS3 should be really good about looking at that receiver and going, oh, you support all of these audio video formats. So if you've done the setup on the PS3 right, it should be aware that that receiver is capable of all the audio formats that can be supported with all the current media that you're throwing at it. So that's just a good thing to do.
So lossless, bitstream.
Stick with bitstream because he's got a player, because that's like the original data right off the disc. Nothing touching it, just send it right to the receiver. Let the receiver take care of everything. We need to put together a chart that lists them in order.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of HD Nation. As always, we want to know what you think, so send your comments, your questions, or your suggestions to hdnation@revision3.com.
And follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/HDNation, or hang out with the other viewers in the HD Nation forums at revision3.com/forum. And you can find show links galore in the show notes as well at hdnation.tv.
You'll also find all the links to subscribe to the show, so if you're not getting the latest episode of HD Nation delivered to your podcatcher, your TiVo, or your Windows Media Center, what are you waiting for?
That's right. Subscribe and watch. And until next time.
Thanks for watching. I'm Patrick Norton.
And I'm Robert Heron. We'll see you next week.